Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Harshil. I'm one of the founders at Contineu. And I think Govindji couldn't have given me a better segue into telling what we do. So essentially, what we end up doing is we create a data infrastructure platform for construction sites based on reality capture. And I'll walk you through what exactly is the problem that we solve and how we do it. So I don't think it's visible on the slide here, but there's a big square there. So just assume there's a square there. There's a huge amount of data being generated on all of your sites every single day. But a very small percentage of it is actually captured and actually logged onto your systems. So any of your softwares that exist today, the data that's there is only a small fraction of your site's true picture. And that actually leads to suboptimal outcomes, which is what we want to solve using Contineu. A lot of developers that we've met are already fixing this. The graph that you see is basically, since we launched in April, this is the number of inbounds we've received from just our website. We don't follow an outbound sales motion. People reach out to us, developers reach out to us, purely because all developers that we've met that we are working with truly understand that the current data that's existing on their platforms is not enough. They need more context about the site. They need more information about the site to work off of. And Purple, slight plug, Purples are our deployments that we've been doing for the past 6 months. So this is what a typical data infrastructure on any construction site looks like, right? At the bottom, you have data sources, which go into a data storage mechanism, and then you have analytics on top. Every software that I've seen, 95% of softwares I've seen in this space, work on the analytics layer. They don't try to solve the data problem itself, or they don't try to solve the data storage problem itself. But we work off of the data as well as the data structuring and storage itself, which makes sure that all the analytics that you run on top of it actually can give you meaningful outcomes. And I'll explain how. So essentially, we mount 360 cameras onto construction hard hats. We do floor-wise site walks. From those floor-wise site walks, we can generate 3D as-built models of your site, which are accurate to currently, as of today, almost plus minus 15 mm in terms of dimensional accuracy. These models are then aligned to an ISO 19650 compliant BIM model, and then we align them, and then we compare it against the BIM model. Once we have this as part of your structured data on site, on top of this, we start running analytics modules for individual use cases. For example, the first one we've come up with is QA/QC, or quality. What does that look like? I'm very excited to show you all the latest platform that we're launching on 15th of April based on all the 6 months of learning that we've had based on our deployments. That's your 3D BIM of your site as the main interface through which you interface with your data. On this data, we overlay different heat maps of different aspects or different data points of your site. So for example, we're starting with quality and progress. For each of these floors, we can show you data overlaid on the BIM of the floor itself, rather than it being showing up on an Excel sheet or onto a software database platform. So essentially what you saw was just a sneak peek of the platform that we're launching on 15th April, which essentially enables you to look at your data visually. And for everyone I've spoken to in this industry, everyone thinks spatially and visually. If I tell you about a certain issue on your site, everyone will think about this building, this floor, this flat, this room, this element. That's how they think about issues, or that's how they think about data points. And that is the interface that we've been wanting to bring. So going back to the data infrastructure, we've augmented text-based, fragmented, or sometimes unreliable data sources with visual data sources, which we are now structuring against an ISO 19650 compliant BIM model. And then on top of this, we start running analytics around, in our case, the first module we've built is quality. But ideally, any software can plug into this platform, and the data that they're ingesting and working off of can become remarkably better, because now you have a clearer and complete picture of the site rather than something that's manual input, right? We've already run this on a bunch of tier 1 developers and tier 2 developers. You should be hearing announcements from us very soon in the coming few weeks announcing those deployments. We've documented savings. Primarily, you'll see in the RA bill leakage prevention. Every subcontractor RA bill that comes in can be verified very quickly and very easily on the reality capture platform that we've built out. The second use case we're validating is, like I said, quality. We can detect almost 220 types of defects across all stages, from structural to finishing. And that's just a way, again, for us to prove that data can be extracted off of this structured BIM. And the larger goal is to eventually build out an entire integrated project management software that works based on this reality capture and BIM data. The largest learning for us over the past 6 months has been change management. We've realized that if something like this has to exist in the industry, then it cannot be something that is self-serve, or it cannot be something that developers pick up on their own. So you have to attack the problem from both sides, the buyer and the user. In our case, the buyer is the leadership, who essentially end up using reality capture data over time in their daily workflows. And the users are the field teams who actually either take the scans or use the scan data in their day-to-day work. So with both of them, we have a setup. We've set up a system in place where we have regular touch points with them, show them how to use it in their day-to-day work, and handhold them for at least up to 6 months, so that they can then transition into this way of working. Because we've realized this cannot come immediately and naturally to most teams that we work with. To enable this better, we're launching an early bird pricing of 6 lakh rupees a year for every single site. Every developer around here who wants to try this out for their first site, we can deploy on you for an entire year for 6 lakh rupees. And the only goal here is to let you taste how it is to work with reality capture data in your day-to-day work. Because we've realized that is the hardest piece that we have to crack. This is data around the market for this in India. Quality software is a smaller market. The larger project management software is a much larger market. And this is me and my co-founder. I'm from IIT Bombay, done a bunch of research in reality capture, 3D reconstruction, aerial vehicles for inspection, surveillance, and monitoring. And that's my co-founder. She's from IIT Madras. She worked in the construction tech space in Europe for about 4 years, solved a lot of problems on those sites, and then came back to India to solve problems here.
Awesome, Harshil. Your time is up. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I think we can open the floor for the jury members to ask questions, and a big round of applause for Harshil from Contineu.ai.
Yeah, Harshil. So what are the packages that in a construction site that your software can handle?
So currently we serve 2 main packages. One is a scan-only offering, where typically a smaller developer, not usually larger tier 1 developers, but smaller developers end up using the platform to take regular scans and see the walkthroughs remotely. And the main area this is useful is, if it's a smaller developer, they'll probably have 2 or 3 expert project managers. And they want to use that expertise on other sites, but they can't because the resource is constrained. But this allows those developers to use that same expert resource on multiple sites for unblocking them, for setting the rhythm of the site. That's how a lot of our smaller clients are using it. The second use case, like I mentioned, is a quality use case, which larger developers we're working with are using, where they end up using it either as a third-party inspection tool to validate and verify their quality team's performance, or B, as integrated to their FM or handover use case, where right before the slide goes to the clients, they end up using us to find and flag all quality issues.
How do you handle complex sites like maybe MEP or HVAC or facade? How would you handle, how does your software work there?
Essentially what we're doing is we're taking reality capture data and overlaying it on a BIM. So as long as the BIM contains data about the MEP or the facade or any individual services, then it can be overlaid with the reality data and compared.
So a smaller developer who is not on BIM can't use your...
I'm glad you asked that, because I was about to say that. For developers who are not using a BIM, we essentially just end up taking drawing files and creating a BIM for them for LOD 400 to 450. Primarily because we've seen that as being the primary bottleneck. So we've created some automations internally wherein almost within 4 to 5 days we can create an LOD 400 BIM for your site from a drawing file.
I think that's a better use case.
What kind of additional investment does a developer need in this apart from the subscription?
So there's two other additional investments. One is in the hardware, which is frankly speaking very small. We use consumer hardware available on Amazon for 50,000 rupees. The second is if you want a dedicated site scanning resource, somebody who is there from our team on your site who will regularly take the scans. Essentially, अगर आप बोल रहे हो कि आपको सिर्फ results चाहिए, you don't care about the operations of it, then we can handle that for you. And that comes out to somewhere around 3 lakhs extra a year. So that's
the resource cost. So basically at 50,000 rupees, I can get this implemented on my site.
Sure.
Apart from, and what's the timeline?
Timeline for deployment? We can deploy within a week to 10 days on your site.
Thank you so much. Can we please have a round of applause for Contineu.ai?